So we did talk about keeping science education current, and I would call it a wide-ranging, unstructured discussion. That was a lot of fun, and I feel like we covered a lot of topic areas. So I'll just give you a flavor for what we discussed, and anybody who took part, especially Kemi, who was assisting, then they can fill in the gaps. So as I previewed this morning, the time in the classroom is so limited that it's very difficult to really get to current science when you are teaching a curriculum that has to touch on sometimes older facts. You know, you want to keep it as current as possible. But that we did talk about how the limitation on time starts way back in elementary school, and it's kind of a shame that a lot of those young learners are really just excited about everything in the natural world, and trying to keep them interested in science is a challenge even at a very early age. Now, our efforts, we felt, in the Institute and its approach does help, where we're having teachers learn more of the nuances and the details so that they can interject some of that into the classroom and bring some more of the recent topics that they've read about. And really the idea is you could potentially merge those science facts and instruction with other things that you must teach, math, social studies, because really science touches all of our lives in very many ways. So we did talk about that. The real time limitation, though, can also be for students who need intervention for developing better reading skills. And you can sometimes have this divide in the classroom between students that are just really able to soak up that information quickly versus those who need some more remedial help. So the thing that we tried to look towards is what can you actually do to improve this? And there were some great ideas put forward. If the possibility exists to afford to get some live organisms in the classroom, this just can kind of capture the students' curiosity. Even if you can't really cover what's going on with them, it's there as a topic that's available for discussion, ideally during class time, but if not, then at least in discussions outside of class time. This is a bit of a controversial one that I'll say carefully, but if you have certain stories that you must cover in your content areas, maybe you could choose one or more of those to cut them out and remove them and interject something else that deals with, say, current topics in science. You might be able to get away with that, but you didn't hear that from me, okay? Now, I mentioned something that hits for me in the classroom, and I know that all the teachers feel this. As soon as you get a textbook written and published, already it's out of date because science changes just so quickly. And you can have students that are knowledgeable and they key into that. Like, wait a minute, this is not agreeing with something that I've seen. And we collectively in our discussion believe that that could be a very teachable moment for how science really changes at a pace, and it's expected to change. And you're expecting old ideas to be overturned by new discoveries. So really, scientists are okay with that. And it's a great way for students to understand that it's all right to be wrong, and that science, in a sense, you know, we're professionals and our ideas will be shown to be wrong in the future. That's entirely possible. So they should understand that it's not something that is just so rock solid that it cannot be changing through time. We discussed how it's great to run towards controversial topics rather than away from them. Kids are intelligent. They're thinking about these topics anyway, and we're a bit remiss if we don't address them in the classroom as well. Probably the last thing I'll say then is standardized tests. We spent some time talking about many of our favorite topics surround standardized testing and how much we believe that detracts from really your mission. And you know, we addressed how useful is it? You know, what is it really testing? What is it doing for cultural differences between kids? And how do you touch on even asking a question that relates to a topic that's something that they've never even seen or experienced, like the ocean side? You know, this is very, very real in the classroom, and kids could be coming in from other countries, and it's just a whole mixture of cultures, and that's the wonderful thing about education. It brings kids together in this way, but my honest opinion is that standardized testing is just no real easy way to capture all those differences between kids, so one has to wonder how useful is it. The last thing that I'll say is that it was great to hear how the teachers were saying, encouraging students of all backgrounds, boys and girls, all cultures, all ethnicities, to really understand that they have a place in science, that it is possible for them to have this as a profession in their future, or at least just it's okay to be interested in the topic, and it's not something that's only for one gender or only for one culture or one ethnicity. So I thought it was a great discussion. I felt like there were some great strategies that were talked about and helpful comments that were given between the teachers so that they can hopefully go back and use some of that information.